Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is talking about the Song of Roland, or La Chanson de Roland. Quick note on the image, BNF is Bibliothèque Nationale de France, and FOL is folio. So we have quick notes on the text and the manuscript itself. First of all, I've changed English Wikipedia that used to say that there were 9 manuscripts of it, which is not quite true because there are different poems on the subject of Roland, whereas when we say the Song of Roland, what we normally mean is the Oxford Bodleian Digby 23 manuscript, which is the oldest, and that's the one we're going to be talking about today. I've been on the Bodleian Library website, and they claim copyright over the images of the manuscript. So the text is too old to be copyright, but photos of the manuscript can be copyrighted. They even say that we reserve the right to charge a fee, so therefore there are no images of the manuscript in this video. So what this gives us a chance to do is to talk about the modern editions of it. So if we move on, as you can see in grey at the bottom, this is a Raoul Mortier edition, here cited lines 1 to 9, which is the first laisse, which is a French word, or stanza, roughly we'd call it. I'm not going to read the whole thing out or anything. Things to note: the first line, Emperera, the square brackets are, because you see all sorts of sort of common themes, common notations in manuscripts, in manuscript editions, and no one tells you what they mean. You have to work them out for yourself. Square brackets is where the editor has added something when they think it's a clear mistake. I'll just do a little bit of vocab, or explain the whole thing. Manus, first line, is great, so like magnum, but it's a word, or Charlemagne even. That's the sort of one of the few ways it remains in the French language, is Charlemagne, or Charlemagne as we would say. Altenia is Uten, so highest. Then I've got Romania, and in the line after that, Remace, which are both the verb romanoir or remandre, which is to remain. Saragosse is Saragosse, which is a city, and Apollin is a pagan deity. So if we move on, like I say, because we're doing looking at modern editions, these are 2 different modern editions, or a comparison of 2 lines that are different in 2 modern editions. Because you might think, if 2 editors start with the same manuscript, they're going to end up with an identical text. Well, no, it's because there are decisions on interpretation to be made is one reason. And another reason is just like personal style, like in the previous slide, remes, R-E-M-E-S. I would expect to see an acute accent on the second E, remes. But moving on to this, what's saying is Ness. I've gone and had a look at the manuscript, and it is NES with no space. So the thing to note here is Raoul Mortier, 1940. It's published, 64 years afterwards. He's read the previous editions, and that gives him an advantage in a certain sense. He can't do worse than the previous editions, but he can improve, he can change things. So he's going with the word Ness, NES, which is not less. So, ne les peut garder que mot ne l'y atteigne. That'd be the sort of modern French. The other change is Lee, L apostrophe I, which I'm not so sure. Does that improve the text? Is it any better, any worse? The previous change he's made, it deals with the missing E. That Léon Gautier, he's put ne se poète, but with se without the E. So So what we've got there is just an example of how two editors can read the same text and come to different conclusions about how to transcribe it. That's something like La Passion du Christ de Clermont. That's one where we saw that in the original manuscript there's either missing spaces or words with spaces in them where the editor has decided to turn them back into one word. What we're looking at here is what do the brackets mean? Not square brackets, but your sort of regular parentheses. Here it's really difficult to read, but he's actually taken out the ER. So in the original manuscript, it was MERERCIT. And he has, quite rightly in my view, and at other points in the manuscript, he's taken out the ER, so it's mercit. Now, if we look at some features of this text, it is really, or likely to be, without absolute certainty, the oldest Anglo-Norman text. There are a few others that we could cite. The Oxford Psalter, the French of the Oxford Psalter, and the Voyage de Saint Brandan. Those are similarly old. The Song of Roland, you get a small variety, not a big variety, you get a small variety of different estimates about the age. I've seen circa 1080, circa 1098, circa 1100, and one website says 1125 till 1150. And I think if you're looking for similar spelling features, that I think it's also Oxford Bodleian. I should really double check this and make a correction if I'm wrong. Also, the Oxford Bodleian manuscript of Le Voyage de Saint Brandan, in terms of linguistic features, is very similar, and you don't get too many that are written in this old, ancient Anglo-Norman style. So let's, you could all read. So have a quick go through all these features. So you've got the EI, where you might expect OI in sort of later and mainland France, Old French. So like Veille, Fade, Français. Again, I can't pronounce all these. I don't pretend to be able to pronounce sort of 1100 French. And we've got the U, where you might otherwise expect an O. The ET at the end is a sort of typically pre-1150 for your past tenses, past participles rather, and your past participles that would also end in A in one French. So we've got citet or citate, depending on how you pronounce it. And also the grouping AL, so altra instead of outre or outre, halt rather than haut or haut. The plural ALS, so mouse, cheval, chevals rather than mouse or chevals. Initial C, obviously we do get chevals or chevals rather. So Ceval, or do you pronounce it Caval? I don't actually know. ER, where you might expect IR, like Chevalier instead of Chevalier. And the final one, CS for a plural, Blancs. We also get that with FS, where you get like Nef, then your regular plural is like Nefs. You get Nef, Nefs.